So let's add Animate CSS to our project. So what we're going to do over here, we're just going to open again a new Google search, and I'm going to say Animate CSS, right? And obviously the first link that we're going to have, this is what we're going to be using. So we'll just click Animate CSS. I can see it's very self-explanatory, right? Over here we have right away a download Animate CSS. Here we can view it on GitHub, and here are the things that we can actually do, right? So in the web page we can just actually see what's happening, right? So this would be the animation that we want. So we can just go over here to the GitHub over here like this. And again, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? So once we download it, if we don't want to use a CDN over here, and let's say that we want to download, what we need to look for is over here, this Animate CSS, and we need to add it in the head, right? So over here, I'm going to copy this because I already downloaded it. But if you haven't, obviously over here, you see over here this download, and this is what you can also use for downloading, right? And after that, they give you over here these classes, and this is going to be an explanation what you can do, right? So I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller, and you can see that I already have this animated CSS over here, animate min CSS, right? So what I need to do over here is go to the head. This is going to be our main CSS. So above that main CSS, I'm just going to say this is going to be animate over here CSS. And after that, we're just gonna copy this link that we got over here. This is gonna be href, right? But obviously we need to say over here, this is already sitting in my CSS folder. So I'm gonna say that this is gonna be a animate CSS. So now we have a animations, right? And if we just follow what we have over here, let's say that we can actually, if we want, we can just copy this class over here, right? Or we can just write it ourselves. So I can just go copy, and I'm going to say that, I don't know, I'm going to add this to the banner, right, to the whole thing. I'm just going to paste this, and we'll save it, and we'll see what happens, right? And you can see how our banner is pretty much all the time jumping up and down. We have added the animated CSS, right? Now, by itself, it's actually not very... I wouldn't say not useful, but it's more interesting when the animations are happening once let's say you have actually ordered it, because otherwise what you're doing, you're just adding this animation and then it runs, and maybe it can run multiple times, but what you always want to do is, this is not going to be the case, but when you're scrolling up and down, right? And the way we actually do that is with a WOW.JS over here. So for now, only thing that you can do is actually you can follow these ones if you want, right? If you want to use them, you can do it in GitHub, or we can just go back over here and you can just pick which animations you would want. Just remember that first thing you always need to add is animated, and then you write a name, right? Just make sure that this is actually a sensitive, right? So you need to write like this, the way it is, because the capital letters matter there, right? So when you want a fade and right, don't write everything with small letters and then expect that it will work. And always to remember, add a animated over here as the first class. Now let's move on to WOW.JS, right? So what we were going to do, again, we're going to go back to our good old friend Google, and we're just going to say WOW.JS over here like this. And you can see again, this is going to be our first link. Now, one thing that you need to remember about WOW.JS, if you're actually if you have a commercial website, you're actually going to have to pay for it, right? If you're just trying it out, it's for free. Don't worry about it. You're not expected to pay anything. However, there is a pricing over here. If you have let's say for unlimited projects over here, and developer, right, for one project. But again, if you're just trying it out, it's completely free, right? Just keep in mind, don't download your next, I don't know, Amazon website or something like that, and then you use WOW.JS without permission. So here it is. It says how to use, and again, it's very straightforward. What you need over here is Animate CSS, and over here, we already have it, right? Because we already dealt with it. We already added this animate min CSS, and then we need a wow min JS over here like this. So obviously, once we click over here a download, right? then we get this wow min.js, right? So you can see over here that I have a folder already because I already downloaded it, right? But you can actually download yourself and just look for that file, the wow min.js. So here I have already a wow min.js, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this line over here, this script, and I'm just going to copy it over here, right? Because all I need to do is actually add it to my document. So over here, I'm just going to say that this is going to be a WOW.JS over here like this. And we're just going to copy this and paste it over here. So now I can see that I added my WOW.JS over here. Now, probably, I don't know whether it's going to work with the same one. So I'm just going to double check it. That this JS over here. And I'm going to say this is going to be WOW min.js. And after that, we can include right away the script right within these script tags. But what I want to do is actually create over here this code.js. So what I did over here, I created a code.js. And actually, no, this is not for that. This is, I'm sorry, this is going to be for a discount clock. Don't worry about it. Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to right away include this script. But if we wanted to, if you have a huge project, you obviously don't want to create a separate JavaScript file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this over here. And in this case, because we have a small project, I'm just going to paste the script over here like this. But in general, what you would want to do is create another file. So maybe I'm just going to do that just so we do this. And I'm going to say that this is going to be a WOW.JS over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create over here this link. Now you can see the problem, I didn't save it in my JavaScript folder. So the path is going to be a little bit different. And I'm going to say that I want to copy this. We go back to min over here to this JS, paste it over here. Then we can save it. And then we're going to go back to a HTML. And what we want to do is actually we want to delete this script. And what we actually want to connect it to the file that we just created. So over here, I'm going to say that this is going to have a source. And obviously the source, I want a WOW.JS, right? So pretty much we're doing the same thing over here. We just don't want to mess it up with a lot of scripts. We actually want to create files. I just did a mistake over here that I didn't save this file in all my JavaScript over here like this. Now that I have a WOW.JS, we can actually check it out how it works, right? So it says over here, the first thing we need to add is WOW. And then we have a CSS animation that we would want, right? So let's, I guess, start with our, the first one, right? With an image, right? So we find where we have our image over here like this. And let's just create a little bit more room. And you can see where I have this class image responsive already, right? Because I'm going to be dealing with this image, right? So following instructions, I write over here wow, and then I would write that fade over here in, right? And I would say left. And if I would just restart, you can see that it's actually coming in left. Now I need to get rid of this class, this container class that's bouncing, right? We don't need this, but you can see what's happening is that once I over here add this class, it's actually slides in from the left, right? Now with WOW.JS, there's actually a couple of things more that we can do, right? We can go over here and you can see that it's gonna have a couple of more options that we could use, right? First of all, it has a data val duration. This is how long this animation is gonna be going. Then it's this data offset is gonna be pretty much, again, we're not going to be using in this case, but as you're scrolling up and down, you can see that this 10 is going to mean that as you're scrolling up and down, when it's actually start to work, right? Then data val delay is going to be how long time it takes before the animation starts running. And data val iteration over here is how many times, right? So with knowing all this, let's just go back over here to my image and let's add those attributes, right? The first thing that I'm going to say, the data val over here like this, and I would say I would want a little bit of delay, right? We probably might not be able to see because I'm going to say it that it's going to be 0.4 seconds, but once we're going to be done adding all the attributes, you're actually going to see how that delay works, right? So now then we're going to say data val over here, and this is going to be duration, duration over here, and we're going to say that this is going to be a 4 seconds over here like this, and this is going to be pretty much it, right? So what we're going to do is we're just going to save this, but you can see that maybe no, pretty much let's be done with these two attributes, right? So I can just save it. We can go over here, and now you can see that it's going to wait a little bit, and you can see that now duration, right? This is those 4 seconds, right? But that delay is going to be working because as we're going to keep on moving, we're actually going to be adding a different delays, right? So after that, what I would want to do is actually work with the form, right? And over here, you can see that if I have a form, right, this is going to be my form in line class. However, over here, I'm going to add wow, and I'm going to say flip and in X, right? And X needs to be with the big letter over here like this. And now we need to add a couple of classes. And what I'm going to say is that this is going to be a, let's say that this is going to be delay of 5.2 seconds. So I need to write again this data wow, and this is going to be delay. This is going to be a 5.2 seconds over here like this. And then after that, we're going to say that this is going to have a data wow duration. Again, I kind of like 4 or 5 seconds because I don't know, just in my opinion, it kind of looks a little bit better, right? But you can obviously make your own values and everything. This is not something absolute, right? So I'm just going to save this, and we can check it out that we have a image right now. And after that, after those 5 seconds, you can see that it's flipping over here our form, right? Now, what I want to do is go to a paragraph over here and also add these classes. So I'm going to say over here, this is going to be obviously wow. And for the paragraph, what I want to do is actually I want to zoom in. So I'm going to say zoom in. And then again, I'm going to add a data wow delay. And this case is going to be 3.2 seconds because I want it a little bit faster. So I'm going to say a little bit 3.2 seconds, right? So you can see I started here with 0.4, then it's 5.2, and this one is going to be a little bit quicker, right? And after that, again, we're going to say data wow duration is going to be like, let's say, 4 seconds, right? So we're just going to data wow duration, and we're going to say this is going to be 4 seconds. We can save this, refresh, and now we have 3 of them working, right? First one comes image, then comes zooms in a paragraph, and the last one it flips in the form, right? Now you can see that I probably need to make it a little bit bigger. And the last thing that I want to do is actually have my have all of them, right? The icons, right? So I go over here where I have my icons, and obviously I would need to add more classes. Here again, I'm going to say wow, and this is going to be flip in Y, right? And again, you can choose as many classes as you want. And I'm going to say over here data, over here wow, delay, and we're going to say that this is going to be like, let's say 7.2 seconds, something like this. And then after that, we're going to say data wow duration is going to be again, let's say 4 seconds, right? So duration, data wow duration. So messed up a little bit over there, data wow duration. And we're going to say that this is going to be like, let's say 4 seconds, right? And now again, if we just save this over here and we refresh, you can see that all my items are actually right now using the Animate CSS, right? And you can see how I added them all. Now again, we could have done this just with regular animated CSS. I just wanted to show you how we can work with WOW.JS, because once we're going to be scrolling up and down, this is actually where we're going to be using a WOW.JS. So for the next project, it's actually going to be useful. For this one page, obviously, we could have done it just by animated CSS, but it helps that we can actually add this over here, this WOW.JS also. So we can just close it out. And now we're pretty much ready to actually add a countdown.js over here. This is going to be the clock, because you can see that that's the only thing that's missing, right? Pretty much the pages look exactly the same, right? This is our landing page. This is the Bootstrap project. And the only thing missing over here is clock. So let's go ahead and add this clock.